There's some water rescues going on in Orlando right now. You're looking at a map right now where Hurricane IRMA has now been downgraded to a Category 1, but it continues to batter Florida from coast to coast.
Right now, we're going to go live to Griff Jenkins. He is live in Naples, Florida, with the very latest from there.
Dealing with wind and storm surge. Griff, are you there?
I am. I'm here. It's a mess. Let me just pick up real quickly, though. You were saying water rescues in Orlando. Just moments ago, I was doing an affiliate hit with our WOFL affiliate 35. And just to give you perspective on how huge the storm is, it was literally 12 hours ago that the eye wall was pretty much coming right for me. And now it's pounding up there and they're in water rescues. This is a monster that has hit the area. And here in Naples, it is carnage. 90% of Collier County is without power. The roads are impassable. The water is rising. It's impossible to get an assessment this early on just how bad that is and how much it's going to take if there are people that need to be rescued. We drove a little bit and we saw some, but as you can see, the wind is picking up. We haven't seen a single emergency crew, electrical power crew out here, nothing of that. And we're getting word from the officials asking people to literally shelter in place, stay in place, because it's not safe out here. This, of course, is just a small part of the larger part of Florida. More than 4 million without power. Florida Power and Light has their work cut out, and it certainly feels like, at least in this area, the officials telling people it could be weeks before that power comes back. In the rain, starting to fall again, something they certainly don't need here today, guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Griff. Well, moments ago, rescuers in Hillsborough County in the Tampa area given the all clear to go back out in the streets.
Yeah, first responders can now look into hundreds of 911 calls made overnight, but that does not mean it is safe for everyone just yet. Jillian Mealy picks up our live team coverage right now in Tampa. Jillian, good morning.
Okay, so we're in the car. Good morning, guys. We want to just show you the debris. And if you can just drive kind of slow here for a second, Matt, so we can get a good look at this. This is what a lot of the streets are looking like on Davis Island right now. We're on Hudson Avenue. You can just see littered with branch after branch. Now, we haven't seen any live wires down, although we are seeing reports of that on Twitter. Bob Buckhorn just tweeted, please stay off the roads. Lots of downed power lines, especially on the north end of town. City crews are fully engaged. Be safe. Hillsborough County just tweeted that fire rescue and the sheriff have resumed 911 rescue responses. So that's what we're dealing with right now. And as we just turn up here and take a look right down the road, you can still see we're dealing with a lot of debris out here. Looks like some trees that are hanging pretty low at this point. So that's why you have to really watch out with those power lines. Then look, this is what you come up upon. You've got a palm tree just completely blocking the roadway. So this is the situation right now. Not a ton of flooding, which, by the way, people are thrilled about. But at this point, it's just the debris. It's the trees that you have to worry about. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, one of the many reasons people being told do not come out of your house until the sun is out. A lot of dangers out there on the road. Yep. Thank you, Jillian.
Jillian, thanks. All right, let's go now to Janice Dean live in the Weather Center. Janice, we've been following along with you all morning long. It is 34 minutes after the hour. How are we looking now?
Well, the storm is weakening, which is a great trend, but we still have the potential for power outages. I just got a report of 5.5 million people without power in Florida. Not only watching Irma, but we're also keeping an eye on Jose. We'll be watching this over the next 5 to 7 days as it's got nothing to steer it, and it comes very close to the Bahamas. So watching Jose, and obviously yesterday was the peak of the season. We're not done yet. Irma weakening. That's the good news. Still the potential for very heavy rain and wind gusts in excess of hurricane force along the path of this tropical storm warning for Atlanta, Georgia for the first time ever in their history. So the storm is going to continue to make a northwestward track, eventually just being downgraded to a remnant low. But we still have very gusty winds here. We have the potential for several inches of rain and the tornado threat. Looks like we have a tornado warned storm north of Jacksonville. We've seen tornado warnings all along the path of this storm, the northeast quadrant, and damage reports as well for very populated areas, especially on the east coast of Florida. So hurricane warning still in effect for central Florida up towards Georgia. And as I mentioned, Atlanta, Georgia, for the first time ever, a tropical storm warning for them. Back to you.
That's unreal. Atlanta, tropical storm warning. Wow, yeah. Janice, thanks.
That's where my sister is, and I actually texted her to see if it was hitting them yet. Yesterday, it was not. but it's on the way.
It's on the way.
Well, the city of Miami under a lockdown right now over fears of looting.
Brian Yanis live in the Coral Way neighborhood of Miami with more on the chaos and destruction from this monster storm. Brian?
Good morning, guys. Well, all morning we've been reporting on the fact that there's a curfew, and for good reason. This is just some of the debris we're seeing in the street. This is what's left of a traffic light. The traffic light has been run over about 4 times since we've been here by cars who either don't see it or just are trying to get out. And here you see it. It came there. This is actually one car right there. This is an individual who lives in this neighborhood just outside of downtown Miami. It's a suburb. He doesn't know where to go. And this is why they're telling people to stay in their homes until at least daylight, so that the assessment crews can come out and start cleaning up, because it's dangerous out here. We saw a bus earlier today that was supposed to go pick up utility workers also get stuck right where I'm standing. He's trying to get to Fort Lauderdale to pick up some of those 17,000 utility workers that are trying to restore power to 43% of Florida's customers who are now without power, a staggering number. And on top of all of that, we saw all the damage, panels flying off of buildings, flooding on Brickell Avenue and Miami Beach. People are just trying to come home, and those homes are vacant. So now police are dealing with, yeah, you guessed it, looters. And so now they're sending out, there's video of a looters going after a Foot Locker in Miami-Dade County here. And there's also a tweet that Miami Police Department sent out with a photo of some looters that they arrested, thankfully. 28 looters already arrested. I'm sure there's more. That was already a few hours old. And they're just saying, look, we're going to come after you if you're trying. But in the meantime, this is about restoring and cleaning up. This city has been damaged pretty badly. Lots of downed trees and power lines. It's really dangerous. Most people who get hurt in a storm, they get hurt post-storm, and so we can expect a very long cleanup here in South Florida from Palm Beach, Broward, and you know what, really the entire state of Florida. Pretty unprecedented, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Brian Yanis live for us there in Miami. Brian, stay safe. All right, time now 38 minutes exactly after the hour. And this morning we are commemorating the anniversary of 9/11. Army veteran Pete Hegseth live at Ground Zero next.
Plus, the family who decided to ride out Hurricane Irma's wrath. This video from outside their home. They join us live with a first-hand account up next.
I am totally blind, and Non-24 can throw my days and nights out of sync, keeping me from the things I love to do. Talk to your doctor and call 844-214-2424.
Do you need the most trusted battery for your son's favorite toy? Maybe not. Maybe you could trust he wouldn't leave the upstairs water running. Or you could just trust Duracell.
Straining pasta is such a pain when the noodles spill and go down the drain. There has to be a better way. Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new Gotham Steel Pasta Pot with tempered glass lid and built-in strainer. Plus our exclusive Stay Cool twist and lock handle. Look here, just twist to lock, then drain the pot. With Gotham Steel, you're guaranteed perfect straining and delicious meals every time. The secret's the twist and lock handles that stay cool to the touch and hold the lid down tight. Even upside down with 5 pounds of potatoes. Our Thai ceramic surface is made with super strong titanium and a super slick ceramic. It's durable, so mashing potatoes with electric beaters won't scratch it. Plus, nothing sticks while cooking. Mac and cheese just slides right out. You can even melt cheese right in the pot with no sticking. Try that with another pan. It's a disaster. Our tempered glass lid is high strength and virtually damage proof with both large straining holes and smaller ones, so even the smallest veggies can't escape. The 4-quart pot is large enough for a whole seafood boil. Easily drain the broth, then feast your eyes on this. And there's no easier way to hard boil and drain up to 2 dozen eggs. Plus, it's the best way to drain the fat off ground beef. Add beans, tomato sauce and spices for an easy, delicious Texas chili. Or look here, pop some corn. It's non-stick, so no oil is needed. Then mix in marshmallows, chocolate chips and pour out to cool. So good. So don't let straining get you stressed.
Get your Gotham Steel Pasta Pot with flip and lock handles and tempered glass straining lid for just $29.99 plus shipping. Plus, we'll even guarantee it for 90 days. But wait, call now and you can get a Gotham Steel pen with Thai ceramic surface. Just pay separate fee. You'll get it all, a huge $80 value for just $29.99. Call now.
To order, call 1-800-887-0903. That's 1-800-887-0903. Or order online at GothamSteelPot.com.
Long live effort. With a legendary Hemi engine or a powerful, proven Cummins turbo diesel engine, it's capable of carrying on great American traditions. During Ram Power Days, get a great deal on the trucks that are proven to last.
Right now, get 0% APR financing for 72 months on all 2017 Ram 1500 models.
Well, despite warnings to evacuate, many Florida residents decided to stay put and ride out the storm, including our next guest, who chose to ride it out from one of the hardest hit areas, actually.
Randy Toe owns a recreational fishing company in the Florida Keys. We've been in touch with him since Saturday. He joins us now by phone from Tavernier with an update. Randy, I got to ask you, how you holding up?
Guys, we're doing good. You know, we rode it out. Seems to be the biggest problem for us in the Upper Keys was a lot of down trees. I did not see any structural damage. Pretty good flooding on the ocean side, which was expected with those hard winds and the high tides. And then there was a tide surge on the bay side. But all in all, we fared very well, and we're very pleased that we didn't leave.
You know, Randy, people have different reasons for deciding to stay and hunker down. Why did you decide to stay? Did your family stay with you? And how long have you been in that area?
Well, I lived in the Keys for 36 years, and my family, we all choose just to ride it out here when we started looking at leaving and all the traffic and how difficult it was finding a place to stay. And we knew what we were going to be in for with the storm when it did finally hit. And we really didn't want to be somewhere else having to go through that. And we just felt that the safest place to be was at home.
As an owner of a recreational fishing company, boats are sort of your livelihood. Any sense as to how your boats are doing?
Both boats did very well. I checked on them after the storm yesterday, and everything fared very well. You know, usually with a storm, you try to put them in the best safe haven you can. In our case, we'll put them in canals or in mangrove creeks with a bunch of ropes on them. And my boats fared very well, and I've heard most of the guys did well with their boats.
So you've been there since, 1984. That means you've been through Hurricane Andrew, Wilma, Charlie. How does this compare?
Well, this was a little different in that it was really about a lot of wind, and it did not hit us directly. The eye did not go over the Upper Keys. It went down toward Key West, which they really got the full force of it. But pretty standard as far as, you know, the tide surge on the ocean, the heavy wind. And really, if you're in a sound house, we were in a big concrete house. It wasn't a mobile home. It wasn't something that was going to be, scary to stay in as far as something happening to it. We were on high ground. So it was really, when you buy a house, you want to think of things if you have storms, right, and if you're going to live there long term, that you're going to be safe.
All right. Randy, glad to hear you and yours are doing well. Thanks so much for sharing some time with us. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Today marks 16 years since the 9/11 attacks in New York City, Washington, D.C., and, of course, Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Nearly 3,000 people died that day.
And this morning, we honor those who lost their lives and those who sacrificed their own lives to save others. Joining us now live from Ground Zero is Fox & Friends Weekend co-host and U.S. Army veteran Pete Hegseth. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning to you both. Of course, we all remember that day. Everyone remembers where they were, a moment that changed our entire nation. And this morning, we're here down at Ground Zero, just outside the Freedom Tower, where this tower stands today and two towers fell 16 years ago. There will be a memorial ceremony, as there always is here on Ground Zero, memorializing the lives that were lost. And starting at 8:39 a.m. this morning, when they begin reading the names of those 3,000 that were lost on that fateful day, they will take 6 moments of silence when the North Tower was struck, when the South Tower was struck, when the Pentagon was struck, when the events of Flight 93 happened in Shanksville, and then, of course, when both towers fell. They will mark those with moments of silence. A moment that our nation will never forget. And what's so critical about remembering, we think about school kids today in high school. They were 1 or 2 years old when this event happened. If you don't memorialize it, then you forget it. And of course, a nation here in our country still at war with radical Islamic terrorism. Here on Fox and Friends this morning, we're going to be talking to Rob O'Neill, the man who killed Osama bin Laden, the man responsible for those attacks that fateful day. A lot of memorializing down here for New Yorkers, certainly something that continues to hit home, and we're honored to be down here on the first time I've been here on this actual day, and it hits me right here as someone who served this country, and I'm glad that Fox News Channel is covering it.
It's always emotional. It's always powerful. Pete Hegseth live for us at Ground Zero this morning. Pete, thanks.
Thanks, Pete. I would encourage anyone that has not been to the 9/11 memorial, definitely go down there. It's something.
Absolutely.
Well, the time now is about 15 minutes until the top of the hour. St. Petersburg, Florida, caught in Irma's crosshairs overnight. We're talking with the chief of fire rescue operations coming up.
Plus, it's not just humans. Manatees are stranded after Hurricane Irma sucks the water out of the sea. But the Good Samaritans stepped in to help save them. We have more on that when we come back.
Make cars fly. I love turning old stuff into something amazing. I want to plant a garden for the whole world.
We grow up, but we never stop dreaming. Here at Coke, we challenge ourselves and the status quo to produce innovations like renewable fuel, more energy-efficient vehicles, and food for all. Because what drives us most is challenge itself.
This is not a cloud. This is a tomato tracked from farm to table on a blockchain, helping keep shoppers safe. This is a financial transaction secure from hacks and threats others can't see. This is a skyscraper whose elevators use IoT data and AI to help thousands get to work safely and efficiently. This is not the cloud you know. This is the IBM Cloud. The IBM Cloud is the cloud for enterprise. Yours.
Destruction across Florida as the historic storm continues its deadly path. We have up-to-the-minute reports. Don't miss our powerful lineup tonight.
Oh my gosh, that's Frank Thomas. No. Yes, that's him. Go ahead. Excuse me, are you Frank Thomas?
Yes, I am.
I bet you get recognized a lot.
I was a pretty good ball player.
You were?
Some people thought so.
Sorry, we recognize you from those Nugenix commercials.
Oh, yeah? That's great.
So does Nugenix really work?
Oh, yeah. I really can feel the difference. My workouts are better, and I feel a lot more energetic.
I wish my husband would use Nugenix.
It's so easy to get started. All you have to do is send one simple text.
Text 55200 and enter STAR for a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenix, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Its unique man-boosting formula is powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help a man feel stronger, leaner, more energetic, and more passionate.
And you're going to like the difference, too.
Text 55200 and enter STAR for a complimentary bottle of Nugenix. Samples are not available in stores. Text 55200 and enter STAR.
Look, isn't that Frank Thomas?
Oh, the big hurt.
More like the big hunk.
Yeah.
Wow, Frank Thomas.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. You look like you could still be playing. That's what I said.
Well, I am feeling stronger and leaner. So, Frank, what's your secret? I discovered Nugenix.
I wish my husband did.
It's easy. Just send a text.
If you're a guy over 40, text 55400 and enter FIRM to get a complimentary bottle of award-winning Nugenix, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Nugenix is a unique man-boosting formula powered by Testofen, a patented key ingredient clinically researched to help boost your free testosterone levels, to help you feel stronger, leaner, with more energy and drive, more passion, too.
Here, try a bottle. And trust me, she'll like it, too.
Text 55400 and enter FIRM to get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix. Samples are not available in stores, so text 55400 and enter FIRM.
Welcome back. A heroic rescue caught on camera. Unbelievable footage showing deputies on a risky mission to rescue two people who decided to ride out the storm, of course, in a boat.
On a boat. Come on. Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7. Sirius XM 115 is here with the incredible details. Carly.
Good morning, Heather and Todd. You know, if you want to see the impact of the storm, look no further than social media, which is inundated with pictures and videos that shows what happens when a storm of this size rips through several major cities. And as you can imagine, it is not good. And then, of course, there are the inevitable rescue efforts. What you're looking at right now is shocking video that shows a couple being rescued after they tried to ride out the storm on a boat. Now, why they decided to do that beats the heck out of me, but rescuers were forced to enter Jensen Beach in Martin County, Florida, just as the storm was making landfall. These rescue workers should have never been put in this situation, but that rescue attempt was successful. Everybody is okay, so good news on that front. Now, one of the most surprising things about this storm is that the winds were so strong that it actually sucked the water away from the shoreline, but that left a lot of animals in a pretty tough spot, like this manatee who was left stranded on the shoreline. So a bunch of people got together and they tried to rescue that little guy. They were successful in doing just that. So a lot of people are, praising this rescue attempt on social media. Trying to Heal says so many good souls looking out for our human and animal neighbors during Irma. And Lamb on social media also chimed in saying thank you to all who are helping the animals affected by Hurricane Irma. Now, despite the storm's devastating side effects, some people are just determined to go on with their lives, like these two rescue workers who were supposed to get married next week. They were instead sent to Florida, so they decided to get married yesterday in a rush ceremony in their uniforms. Now, here's why they decided to make that sacrifice. Take a listen.
Service before self. That's what we go by. So we take care of the citizens first before ourselves.
Yeah. Amazing story there. So that is Lauren Dunham and Michael Davis of the Air National Guard. A lot of people are praising and thanking them on social media. Todd and Heather, back to you.
Carly, thank you. Love that story.
Yeah.
Best story of the week.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Carly.
Thanks a lot.
Time now, 52 minutes after the hour now. St. Petersburg caught in Irma's crosshairs overnight. Up next, the chief of fire rescue operations fills us in on what comes next.
And our Fox and Friends First live storm coverage continues up next.
I just want to find a used car without getting ripped off.
Start at thenewcarfax.com.
Show me used trucks with one owner.
Pretty cool.
Show me the Carfax.
Start your used car search at theallnewcarfax.com.
Career politicians and the media trying to stop him. But President Trump is fighting for America. Over 1 million new jobs. Companies investing billions in America. Stock market reaching all-time record highs. Our border more secure. Cracking down on MS-13. Our economy winning again. Americans working again. Our country strong again. Americans are saying, let President Trump do his job and make America great again.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Can I get some help?
Whatever they went through together.
Welcome, guys.
Life well planned. See what a Raymond James financial advisor can do for you.
Pack for any occasion with Joseph A. Bank's Super Tuesday sale and save up to 70% store-wide. Executive suits $199. Best-selling traveler shirts $3 for $99. Plus, take an extra 50% off clearance items. The Super Tuesday sale, only at Joseph A. Bank.
BP developed new industry-leading software to monitor drilling operations in real time, so our engineers can solve problems with the most precise data at their fingertips. Because safety is never being satisfied and always working to be better.
If your credit card debt is out of control, if you're in over your head in monthly payments, there's a secret the credit card companies don't want you to know. If you have more than $5,000 in credit card debt, you have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. That's bad news for the credit card companies, but it's great news for you. We're Credit Associates, and we're offering you free information on how to virtually eliminate your credit With a monthly payment you can afford. To see how much you could save, call now. 1-800-617-2977. Don't declare bankruptcy. Don't consolidate. Give us 10 minutes and we could save you thousands. After all, we depend on your success and offer a guarantee so there's no risk. Credit Associates. Live better, debt-free. Find out how easy it is by calling now. For the secret the credit card companies don't want you to know, call Credit Associates now and see how much money you could save for free. Call 1-800-617-2977.
Introducing the new Range Rover Velar. Land Rover, above and beyond.
When we moved, we didn't have anything, so we used OfferUp, a free app that let us find awesome things our neighbors were selling. It was a great way to furnish our home and get to know our new city.
Now we have lots of furniture and a lot of new friends, too.
OfferUp is free to use. Find anything you want nearby.
Welcome back. 3 minutes before the top of the hour, and we continue with a Fox News alert. All eyes on Hurricane Irma. Right there on the left-hand side of your screen, you see the current track of the storm, and on the right-hand side, Tampa, Florida, one of the areas that, with the new projections that we heard over the course of the last 48 hours, was projected to get hit hard, and you can see right there, it did.
Wind damage and storm damage, or a storm surge, two of the things that everyone continues to watch. We heard our own Janice Dean mention the number of people who are now without power in the state of Florida. It has gone from 3.3 to 5.5 million people without power in that state. The impacts of Irma being felt from coast to coast.
All of this as the storm itself was downgraded to a Category 1, but you've heard all of our meteorologists, from Adam Klotz to Rick Reichmuth to Janice Dean just a few moments ago, saying just because you hear that word downgraded doesn't mean the folks there are out of the woods. As the sun does come up there in Florida, people are going to want to go out and survey the damage. Every single meteorologist that says, please be very careful. If you choose to do that, the best course of action is to stay inside until the storm fully gets out of the area.
Yeah, stay at home because it is dangerous. We know that at this point, at least 28 deaths across the Caribbean, the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico have been reported. And then there were 2 deaths. Officers responding to the scenes there in Monroe County in the Florida Keys areas have also died as well as a result of Irma.
Tampa and St. Petersburg in the crosshairs overnight. We have seen some tough images coming out of that area. And we spoke with Griff Jenkins, who is in Naples, and it seemed that Naples really got hit with both the wind and that storm surge. It's a tough scene down there in Naples. You can see the overhead shot right there. That clearly is the flooding and the storm surge damage. But then in Griff's live shots, we heard the wind picking up throughout the course of the morning. And Griff compared the situation there to Houston. He was in both.
He said, been both places.
Storm surge, obviously much worse in Houston, but the wind really bad there in Florida.
Yeah, Naples being the second landfall of Irma. The first landfall Sunday morning happened in the Florida Keys as a Cat 4. Luckily, it has been downgraded significantly. Miami Beach, Miami itself, also on lockdown. Unfortunately, we've seen scenes coming out of Miami of looters already impacting that area.
Obviously, storm coverage continues throughout the morning and throughout the day here on the Fox News Channel. But if you look at your calendar, you know today is a special day, nonetheless, a day that will go down in American history, will never be forgotten. That day, of course, is September 11th, and Fox and Friends will be live from Ground Zero for the next 3 hours, bringing you coverage of the always somber but always very important memorial from Ground Zero.
Also a day that brought Americans across the country together as we continue to be brought together dealing with Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma as well. Stay with us all morning long.
Fox and Friends starts right now.
Bye-bye. Hurricane Irma battering Florida, bringing more wind, rain, and damage.
The storm now downgraded to a Category 1 storm, but the danger is not over yet.
We're still out here on the along the Gulf, and I'll tell you, the backside of this is the backside of the storm.
It is whipping off of there now. Whoa, this is pretty intense.
Wherever Hurricane Irma goes, we'll be there first.
I want everybody to survive this storm. As you know, we can't send out first responders to save you, so everybody needs to be cautious.
President Trump vowing to head to Florida in the wake of Hurricane Irma.
We'll go to Florida very soon. I mean, the bad news is that this is some big monster, but I think we're very well coordinated.
Hurricane Irma packing a powerful punch, still punishing Florida at this hour as it climbs up the coast.
All right, the monster storm's violent fury unleashing a devastating strike, forcing the Sunshine State to go dark, and that's the way it is right now with the sun down, leaving millions, by the way, without power at this hour, up to 4 million.
Irma's lengthy assault, packed with winds over 100 miles per hour, toppled construction cranes, turned streets into raging rivers, and ripping off roofs. A lot of them.
5 seconds.
Wow, they caught that on camera. The massive storm blamed for at least 5 deaths, including 2 police officers down in Florida as Hurricane Irma surges north. Its path of destruction now sparking rapidly rising life-threatening water levels, storm surges that could climb up to 15 feet.
10 to 15 feet of storm surge. You know, I don't know how anybody survives that. Pray. I don't see prayer as a last resort. It should always be a first resort.
We're literally pushing up against the window to prevent it from possibly breaking in.
Okay, as Irma's multi-day siege rages on, we've got live team coverage across Florida, from Miami all the way north to Tampa.
Most of the state now waiting for the sun to come up so we can see the damage. In Naples, Florida, people got hammered and some are still underwater. 90% of the people there are waking up without electricity. Griff Jenkins has battery power and he joins us live with the breaking details unfolding at this hour from Naples. Griff?
Yeah.
Well, I said he had battery power, but apparently there was a problem with the satellite. We'll try to get back to him in just a minute.
Right. There is, of course, the fact that he could be giving us a silent treatment. We won't find out till after the show. Go ahead.
Griff is there in Naples, but we also have Brian Yunus. He's in Coral Way, which is in the Miami area. I think we're going to check in with him now. Good morning.
Good morning. Coral Way is one of the many suburbs in Miami just outside of downtown dealing with pitch black out conditions. Take a look once we take off this light, what it's like out here. You see that? That is what people are dealing with right now. And this is also what people are dealing with. Down trees. You look over here. This is also on my left over here, Guy. We've got down power lights and power lines that go all the way there, blocking traffic. And this is why there is a 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew overnight, because, frankly, it's dangerous. As a matter of fact, here it is. Here's a car right now. Watch out. This is what's happening. People are now leaving shelters and finally trying to get home, and they're driving in these kinds of conditions. Before this, we saw a bus that was meant to go pick up utility workers. Remember, 43% of Floridians right now are without power. There are 17,000 utility workers from outside this area that need to start working on these things. One bus got stuck in this very intersection right now, so it's a problem that's all over the place. Before that, obviously, this storm in Miami, although the eye was 130 miles away, we felt it really hard, 90 to 100 mile an hour gusts in some places. We had panels flying off of buildings. The tallest building in Miami, while we were reporting just last night, there was giant 6-foot glass panels flying off of the building and onto the ground, a very dangerous situation. There was also flooding in Brickell and in downtown from the storm surge, which has since receded. And on top of all of that, guys, we also have, unfortunately, looters. Video of looters in a Foot Locker, unbelievably, taking advantage of this situation. And then but the Miami Police Department has been making patrols in this neighborhood neighborhood and in all neighborhoods to make sure that the 600,000 plus Miami-Dade citizens here who evacuated because of the storm aren't taken advantage of while their homes are vacant. So there have been tons of patrols, and the Miami Police Department sending out a tweet with the photos of some of the looters that they caught and arrested, some 28 already, and they're warning others that they're coming after you and looking for you if you plan on taking advantage of the storm victims. But again, people are dying to get home. We understand that. But their rescue crews, the recovery crews here in terms of debris and the cleanup crews have yet to do their work because it's been pitch black, and it's only been a few hours since those winds have come down. And so that's the situation here in neighborhoods all throughout South Florida. As I look at another vehicle trying to get past, it's just not safe, guys.
Hey, Brian, what was the bus stuck on? Were they just concerned because it was a down power line? What was the bus stuck on?
So look, the bus was trying to get to Fort Lauderdale to pick up utility workers, and he was stuck on this. I mean, this traffic light, which fell. Yeah. And the reason why it's on the ground is because it got entangled in that. You can see from my flashlight. And so the bus, trying to figure out a way out of this neighborhood, got entangled on that. And so you could imagine, look, even the buses that are trying to actually restore power are the ones that are also getting stuck. So that's what we're dealing with here,
guys.
It's
just scary because you don't know what lines to pick up. You don't want to get electrocuted while you're trying to...
Can't see anything.
You can't.
You
You're
can't.
right. How about those looters? Were any of them arrested?
A couple dozen.
28 of them were. Yeah. We had at least 28 looters. In terms of the Foot Locker, I'm unsure if any from that video were actually arrested.
Got it. Well, their faces are on camera, so police officers will know who they are.
All right.
Ridiculous.
Thank you very much, Brian. Now let's move on. Matt Finn picks up our live team coverage in St. Pete Beach on the west side of the great state of Florida. Matt?
Yeah, there's still tropical storm force winds here. Right now, I'm standing in the courtyard of a very winds that are still happening right now, and very strong soaking rain. There are still a lot of downed lines around here, tens of thousands without power. The sun is not up, so we are not able to see or survey the damage, but the hotel owner here sent me some pictures overnight of a lot of his fellow business owners who have seen some damage at hotels and businesses in this area. And as the sun comes up and high tide approaches, which we are inching closer to that, we are expecting a storm surge combined with the high tide, so we could expect to see water rise 2 to 4 feet, but not near that 6 to 9 inches that was potentially could have happened, which would have been catastrophic in this area. You know, we always report on bad news, but fortunately right now at this hour, no catastrophic damage in this area, no terrible flooding here at St. Pete. Overnight, tens of thousands of people in this area lost power, and unfortunately some utility companies had to stop their recovery efforts because they say it was just too dangerous for their guys to be out here. Police also telling us that once the winds hit 40 miles an hour here, which that happened yesterday, it was just too dangerous for them to send out their officers and their rescuers, and it seems like we're definitely seeing winds over 40 miles an hour right now. So unfortunately, anybody who's dialing 911 or seeking help might not receive it. As the sun comes up in this area, I'm sure we'll be able to show you guys much more in the 7 o'clock hour here from St. Pete Beach. Back to you in New York.
All right. Thank you very much, Matt.
All right. Meanwhile, 8 minutes now after the top of the hour.
Jillian Mealy, she started our coverage last week down in Miami Beach, and now she is in Tampa. Jillian, how are things looking there? They were expecting a lot of flooding. Do you see any of that?
I will say, we're not seeing a ton of flooding. Right here, we've got a little bit of, localized street flooding on the corner. It's not significant. I would agree with what Matt Finn is saying, but we have seen a little bit of it. We've been driving around throughout the morning. We are right now along Bayshore Boulevard. We were over on Davis Island earlier this morning. We have not seen any homes damaged by flooding. I'm not saying that that's the case everywhere. I'm just telling you what we've seen so far this morning, but I'll tell you what we're seeing a lot of. You're seeing a lot of downed trees throughout the area. You're seeing a lot of debris, a lot of downed palm trees. You drive up a street and then all of a sudden you have to stop and turn around because this is the situation. So I think a lot of people are going to wake up in Tampa feeling a bit relieved. We did not have, the center, that what was left anyway of the eye of that storm that did not hit here in Tampa last night. So I think a lot of people are feeling very good about that. But still, the sun's not up here yet. So people are going to be coming out as the morning goes on. to try and look at the damage either at their home or on their street. And the thing is, we actually have seen so many police officers driving up and down this street. Every time a new one drives by, they stop and they ask us if we're okay. So police are out there trying to make sure that everybody is safe. It's still not safe to come outside your home just yet, guys.
That's right. All right, Jillian, thank you very much. And also because so many homes are unprotected. So many folks are out of town. They got to make sure that nobody goes in and tries to take something.
What strikes me about Tampa is when you drive across those bridges, the water almost looks at the bridge line. I always said to myself, anytime there's a storm, people must get nervous.
It's just a few feet above sea level. And Janistine, that was the worry. As the coast, the west coast of the storm went up the coast, would the storm surge overwhelm them?
Right, and we're still dealing with storm surge in Jacksonville. They set a storm surge record over 4 feet. So the east coast of Florida is feeling this as well. I just want to point out, normally I wouldn't want to tell you about this. We have another tropical system. This is a hurricane, and we don't quite know where it's going to go. So this will be the next one we watch. This is Jose, and as you can see, it meanders for the next 5 days. But some of the tropical models are showing, perhaps an east coast impact. Landfalls yesterday around 9:10, Cujo Key, and then we had another landfall, Marco Island, 115 mile per hour sustained winds. That was a major hurricane. Some of the wind gusts in Naples, 142 miles per hour. I mean, devastation there in the Naples area. And Marco Island, 130 mile per hour sustained wind, or rather gusts. Tornado threat will be ongoing today because of the right-hand side of this storm. We've seen many tornado-warned storms yesterday and now today for North Florida. We had an earlier tornado-warned storm north of Jacksonville, but that tornado threat is going to be ongoing through Georgia and the Carolinas. So widespread effects, even though this storm is weakening, still a Category 1 moving across North Florida, but the effects will be felt well past the center of this storm. Tropical storm force winds extending 220 miles from the center of this storm, and hurricane force winds likely 80 miles from the center. And you can see we're still going to be dealing with this into Tuesday, and then it becomes a remnant low and just kind of sits and spins across the Tennessee River Valley. There's the radar right now. You can see the core of the strongest winds right here. And then we also have the offshore flow. So Tampa, you're still going to get the potential for heavy rain and that storm surge moving in. It won't be the incredible storm surge amounts that we were predicting yesterday, but still a very vulnerable coastline and the potential for, water levels to rise. Future radar shows this storm system moving north and westward into Atlanta, Georgia. For the first time in history, Atlanta, Georgia is under a tropical storm warning. That's incredible. And we could actually see the potential for hurricane force winds moving into parts of Georgia and the Carolinas. There are your rainfall totals. Obviously, this is not a Harvey story like we saw in Houston, but still incredible rainfall totals of over a foot of rain, the potential for upwards of 4 to 6 inches. So flash flooding is going to be a concern throughout the day. And then Georgia and, of course, the Carolinas watching the threat for tornadoes and the storm surge threat as well, not only for the West Coast, but the East Coast, because this storm is so large, guys. We're going to be watching it throughout the day today as it continues to weaken, but still widespread impacts all along the southeast coastline.
Pretty much everybody who's awake right now in the eastern third of the United States is going to wind up with
And I read 45% of the state of Florida has no power.
How long does that normally take for them to turn that back on? A week, or
it
could
varies
be
on
the
extent of the damage.
Places like the Keys inundated with rainfall, it could take months.
Indeed. All right, Janice, thank you very much.
We have lots of viewers in the state of Georgia that are waking up. So a lot of rain. You can expect a lot of rain today. Anything worse? Anything else that we need to, Janice?
No.
Lots of rain. For folks in it. So keep us posted.
Regarding Florida Power and Light, which has got so many subscribers and customers out of electricity this morning, we're going to have somebody who is either their public information officer or a vice president with us in about 20 minutes so they can give us the lowdown.
Really. Meanwhile, 13 minutes now after the hour, we went to Griff Jenkins a little bit earlier, and a shot froze in Naples, Florida. And Griff, are you able to hear us now?
I can hear you, Brian. I'd never give you the silent treatment. And, if I could just add on, Ainsley's asking about, how long it's going to take. The CEO of Florida Power and Light said a few days ago when we were in Miami in anticipation of this event, said this is likely going to be the most difficult power restoration in the country. Florida Power and Light is the third largest utility. And here in Naples, Collier County Emergency Management telling us 90% of this area has no power. The streets are impassable. Power lines, palm trees, pools of standing water. There are rising floodwaters, although the storm surge seems to be only a foot or two based on our limited ability to assess it. But it is very much a serious issue, a catastrophically dangerous situation to wake up now and get into. The curfew here in Naples has just lifted. It was 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. But as people are waking up, the authorities, guys, are telling people to stay sheltered in your place. And if you were evacuated, absolutely do not try and get on these roads and get back to your property to assess it, because it's a dangerous situation right now.
All right. Thanks so much, Griff. We'll see. And a lot of those people in Naples, they pretty much were hit first and were relatively surprised. So if you told people on Thursday Naples is going to get slammed, they can say, no, it's really on the east side. Ends up by the weekend. Yeah, by the weekend, it ends up being Naples.
Several of our reporters that were down there in South Florida over the weekend, I was watching the coverage, and they were comparing it to Hurricane Harvey that they had all just been through. Mm-hmm. And they were saying, thankfully, this was not nearly as bad, and it was quick moving. So it didn't, Harvey just sat there forever and pounded
back a couple of times.
Well, the hurricane force winds were much stronger. This was one of the strongest hurricanes of all time, but Harvey just went out and stopped over Texas.
So Harvey was more about water.
It was all about the water.
More about wind.
The rain became the flood, became the surge.
So, go ahead, Steve.
Meanwhile, in Palm Beach County on the East Coast, Deputy Danny Cunningham saved an American flag battered by the hurricane, claiming he just couldn't bear to watch it get blown apart. So what did he do? He got out of his car and he did the best he could.
Oh, that's great.
So we saw a lot of the water retreat, and when the water retreated, it exposed a lot of sea animals, one of which was a manatee who was stranded by Hurricane Irma after the water got sucked to sea. The rescuers quickly sprung into action despite the rain and winds. They threw tarps on it, dragging it to deeper waters, so I guess the manatee lives.
Isn't that great? They're actually, and there was another manatee there, too, that they thought wasn't living, because they said it wasn't breathing.
Well,
they ended up dragging both of them over to the water, and they both swam away. So thankfully, they were both still alive.
It was a crazy situation there in Sarasota Bay because of the super low pressure, the water just disappeared, and it exposed those critters.
I love love stories. This is another great love story in camouflage.
There were two National Guard members, and they were supposed to get married. She was gonna wear the big poofy white dress. She had everything situated. She had a cake and all of that. Well, they were deployed. Their bosses said, listen, you're with the Air National Guard. You need to get out there and help the people of Florida. So they said, okay, what should we do? And they were sitting around talking with a bunch of their friends. Someone said, I'll open up these folding chairs, put out these chairs. Someone else said, I have some orange flowers. So they gave her the orange flowers. She didn't wear the dress, and they ended up getting hitched. They got married right then and there on the spot.
Michael Davis and Lauren Dunham are now married. Their families must be disappointed. They planned, they registered, they had the church, they were set, and next thing you know, they got deployed. Their term was, their mantra is, as many is, service before self, including their own marriage. So they do not know how their family's going to react to their marriage in Florida.
He said, I think they'll get over it. He said, we're surrounded by a bunch of our friends. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, but this is going to be a really cool story for our kids.
Absolutely. I bet they have another marriage just when they have the time, because they probably already booked all the stuff. They had the outfits, although in that one, everybody was dressed
His best friend in the Guard happens to be a notary. A notary, is that how you say it? Notary?
Notary public.
And so, he was able to officiate the service for them.
Terrific.
A notary can marry
Yes. Yes.
Didn't know that.
Wow.
I knew a man who did that, and he would charge like $75 and come on over into my living room and I'll marry you.
Or maybe it's a justice of the peace.
Right.
I read an article saying he was a notary.
I'll be darned. Wow. Suddenly, those people who do my taxes can also...
Maybe it's different in every state.
Maybe. Meanwhile, residents in Tampa still under a mandatory curfew as emergency crews get ready to hit the ground this morning.
So what's the damage assessment as of now? Let's ask Tampa Mayor Bob Buckhorn. He joins us live right now. Good morning to you, Mayor. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thanks.
So what's the latest there in Tampa?
Well, we've got all of our crews out there assessing the damage. Our police officers and fire rescue personnel have been on the street since about 2 o'clock. All of those reports are coming to this office behind me. So we're trying to get a feel for what it looks like. We know